relationship recover from an affair? Well, our next guest claims it's possible, but not easy. She is the author of Ultimate Betrayal, as well as a private investigator. Please welcome back Danine Manette. Hi, Danine. How are you?
Fine,
welcome back.
Thank you so much for being here. Well, is an affair usually a sign of a troubled relationship, or are there other issues?
Unless you're dealing with someone with narcissistic personality traits or a sociopath, an affair typically means that there is something that's gone on in the relationship that has broken down the level of intimacy, either physically, emotionally. There are stresses in a relationship that people really just need to be aware of. Unmet needs, unresolved resentments, unexpected differences, things that come into a relationship that lead people to believe that things are not as they thought they were going to be, and they really do cause stress in a relationship.
You said money can also cause stress in a relationship. With the economy, you know, up and down right now, you say actually there might be more affairs happening?
Right. During this time, when money is definitely an issue, that causes a lot of stress in households. The #1 cause of relationship breakdowns are financial problems in the marriage. And so at a time when people are really not making their payments, they're not paying their mortgage, money is really strange and things aren't going the way they wanted them to go, it becomes really stressful in the relationship, and people look for vices often. Sometimes that vice may be drugs or alcohol. Other times that vice may be an extramarital affair, some way or manner in which to relieve stress that they may be feeling at the time.
But you say it is possible to rebuild the relationship, which is good news, I'm sure. Would you say that's true for a good number of couples who go through this?
Absolutely, and most people that deal with a situation involving an affair want to rebuild their marriage. Initially, they may go through a phase of, you know, I'm leaving, I'm done, I'm gone. But in looking at the entire picture, looking at the entire totality of the situation where you're dealing with the kids and the life you've built together, most people are more likely to want to put the relationship back together, and it can happen.
Okay, we're going to talk about what to do if whether you are the cheater or the one that's the victim. So let's say you have cheated. What do you have to do in order to rebuild the relationship?
The first thing you need to do is stop lying. You need to be honest with your partner. You need to say, if you love that other person, you need to admit, I love that person. If you want to work on the relationship or if you want to leave, you need to be honest about that. You need to make sure that you're honest about the things that involve the affair as far as dealing with that other person. You need to be honest with your spouse. They have a lot of questions, and there's going to be a lot of things that they do have a legitimate right to know. I don't mean voyeuristic details, but I do mean things like, how long have you known this other person? How deep was the relationship? Did you love each other? And you can't keep lying, because when you continue to lie, it sets up barriers to recovery for that person who is in a place of such vulnerability that they need the truth from you desperately.
Yeah, they just want all that information.
They need the information, they need it desperately.
So I'm assuming it doesn't help then to become defensive or to assign blame.
Not at this point, absolutely not. You need to take ownership for the behavior as the cheater. You can't sit there and say, I was drunk, or it was a stalker, it was my ex that came on to me, or you can't do that, or you were abandoning me at home and I felt as though you drove me to have an affair. That's not the time. Later on, when you're in counseling and when you may be able to be in a place where you're dealing with those relationship issues, then you can talk about, well, I was feeling as though I was neglected, I was last on the priority list or whatever. But initially, at the early stages of an affair being discovered, you need to take full and total responsibility for having that action.
And that person you say can't dictate time, like saying, okay, it better take you 3 months to get over this, 6 months a year. I mean,
that could be detrimental, because the cheater may feel like, you know, it's been 3 weeks and I'm tired of hearing about it. They don't have the right or the ability to dictate how long a period of time the victim takes to get over something like this. This is devastating. It takes a lifetime to build up trust and a moment to tear it down, and they need to be prepared to go the entire road if they want to stay in the relationship.
Now, that's advice for the cheater. For the victim, what's the first thing the victim should start with? Should they be bringing the family and other people into it?
I believe that there's a difference between using people in order to help you get through the pain and taking a poll of whether or not you should stay or you should go. You really need to limit the input from outsiders. It's okay to have someone to console you. I don't believe people should suffer in silence and go through this pain alone, but you also need to make the decision for yourself and for your children, what's in your best interest, whether or not you should stay or you should go. And you should really limit the input of other well-meaning family and friends, but people who, you know, are on the outside and don't really know what you are going through.
And I know it's hard for somebody who's been, you know, victimized or the victim in an affair, but you say try not to throw it back in the person's face all the time.
Exactly. If your goal was to stay and work on the relationship, you cannot continue to berate and harass that person day after day about you did this to me and you did that. It's counterproductive. Either we're going to stay and we're going to work it out, or we're going to go our separate ways. But to just stay with someone so you can harass and attack them every day is just really counterproductive, and it's not good psychologically or physically for either you or your person. And
it takes time, as you pointed out before, for the recovery, I guess, or the rebuilding process to take place. But what kind of time are we talking about? I mean, is there a reasonable span that applies to most situations like this?
It depends. There are peaks and valleys. And if you expect that this is going to be okay and everything's going to be fine in a short period of time, then you can be very badly mistaken. You go through periods where there are triggers, where you may hear songs on the radio that will remind you of this time when your life was something that you thought it was, but it really wasn't, because you were being lied to or deceived. You may see things or images or hear something that just reminds you of a time that makes you feel very angry. You'll go through sadness, you'll go through bitterness, and then you'll feel very loving towards your spouse. A couple days later, you may be mad again. So you have to really pace yourself. You need to really try and find a good support system, whether it be family, whether it be your church, online support groups, counseling, something to help you get through. But these things, they do take time, and it's different for everybody.
Could you ever recover? Could the relationship ever be stronger after an affair? Yes,
because a lot of times the issues that started the affair can be addressed, and you can recognize, you have to be very introspective, and you can therefore recognize exactly what it is that maybe happened where the relationship broke down, and now you can get back together and work on a stronger relationship on the other side. So it is possible. It is possible to rebuild, but you can't fix the old relationship often. You have to throw that one away and start over from scratch with a brand new relationship where we have open lines of communication and when we're dealing with each other, you know, really down, straight up, face to face, and really getting in there together and trying to work through this problem.
And you also said a counselor could help too. So,
absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you, Danine Manette. The book is Ultimate Betrayal. Thanks for your time.
Oh, sure.
And we'll see you folks tomorrow.
Have a great day.
On The View from the Bay,
let us be your guide.
Tomorrow, the effects of stress on your relationship. Dr. John Gray on how to handle hard times.
Great guest. Thank you, Spencer. Good times.
Women rule.
And of course, good food.
The View from the Bay, tomorrow.